Hey beautiful people, Shakti here. Back to continue with my series of lives, Rapture for Men. So if you're watching this for the first time, last week I started a series of lives where I'm going through the content of my book, Rapture, a guide to sexual and spiritual awakening for women. But I'm going through it chapter by chapter and speaking to men and how what I'm sharing here is relevant to you. And also if you want to understand your woman or the women in your life better, and if you want to understand their sexuality and their spirituality better, then this is going to be really helpful. So we are on... we got to chapter 3. So chapter 3 is called You Are Shakti. So of course I'm speaking to women who are the main primary readers of the book, although some men have actually bought the book, and thank you very much if you have. So this chapter is called You Are Shakti. So if you remember, and if not, I'll do a quick recap. The first chapter is called Your Erotic Her Story, where we get to just take a look at the people, the institutions, the environment that has shaped our sexuality and relating, getting to really see the nature of the patterns and the programming that have made us who we are, and are of course a part of how we respond and react to others until we make this conscious and begin to shift and change these things and liberate ourselves from the conditioning. Chapter 2 that I spoke about in the last live is called Everything You've Been Told Is a Lie, and that's just, directly taking you to the understanding that most of the narratives that we've grown up with around our womanhood, our bodies, our sexuality, our sensuality, are a flipping or a distortion of the truth of who and what we are. And coming on to today's chapter, chapter 3, You Are Shakti, this distortion, the programming and the conditioning that's been so pervasive and part of the patriarchal system and the narrative has been to obscure and hide from women their true nature and their true power. As I spoke about in the last video, leading so many women to feel insecure, to feel unworthy, to feel not good enough, to feel ashamed of their bodies and their sexuality, and to feel disconnected or separate within themselves, when the very thing that is the source of our power, our wisdom, right? Our power, our wisdom, our authenticity, our soul gifts, the very source of this lies within our bodies, lies within our womb space, lies within our lower chakras, and the access to the Kundalini life force energy, which is Shakti. So Shakti is a Sanskrit word. Of course, you can see it in my name. It's not the name I was christened with. It's a spiritual name I've taken on. Shakti means power. It means energy, and it refers also to the divine feminine principle. In the Tantra Yoga cosmology, then there are these two principles. So there is kind of the Godhead, which isn't a masculine figure like God. Source, the divine, is genderless. There is no gender when we kind of really connect in with that ultimate divinity. However, when we kind of come from like one level down from source consciousness, then there is an immediate duality, and that immediate duality is masculine and feminine. In Tantra Yoga, the words that we use to refer to that are Shiva, the divine masculine, and Shakti, the divine feminine. And the Shakti, the divine feminine, refers to, like I said, power, energy, the divine feminine, all that is manifest, all that is alive, all that we can touch, taste, see, hear, and smell, all of our senses, everything that is material, everything that we feel, everything that we sense, including our emotions, including our bodies, including our sensuality. So in that sense, whether you're a man or a woman, you are an expression of the energy of Shakti, and everything that you feel and sense is an expression of Shakti. That doesn't mean that you're effeminate. It's just that if you take this cosmology and this way of understanding life, then the manifest is Shakti and the unmanifest, the divine masculine, is Shiva. And if those concepts don't work for you, fine. You know, this is just how I work. And if it doesn't make sense to you, you know, choose different words or choose different terms, but just see what highlights for you as you listen to my sharing. So women in their bodies do have a greater access directly to this energy and to the embodiment of its flow. That is, in fact, when we open sexually and spiritually, when you see us experiencing pleasure, that is an expression of Kundalini Shakti. However, for most people, that's where it's limited to, you know, a short experience of pleasure in the lower half of the body. But what's not understood, and what the programming and the narratives of the patriarchy have obscured from us, is the awareness that that energy is the creative energy of all that is. All that is. It's the source of life. And we have the capacity to embody and tap into that power by the fact that we are women, by the fact that we have a womb space, by the fact that we have a yoni. Yoni is the Sanskrit word for your genitals, your vagina, your womb, your uterus, all of that, right? And when this energy floods our bodies beyond limited sexual expressions, it awakens our consciousness. It opens our hearts. It taps us into our authentic power. It unleashes our soul gifts. It channels us towards our highest and greatest potential in life. We may begin to experience mystical spiritual gifts that we didn't even know exist. Our sexual pleasure is expanded way beyond some kind of small genital eruption into the whole body, not just the whole body, the whole energy field. And like I say, all these mystical, magical, untold gifts begin to come forth through our voices, through our bodies, through our eyes, through our hands, right? And this transpersonal energy of the divine feminine, of Shakti, can begin to move through us. So that is the true nature of woman and of the feminine. Most women have no idea that that is even available to them. So for me, just to make this a more concrete example, you know, I have my life before and I have my life after. So in my life before, you know, I was a really clever young woman, incredibly gifted intellectually, very outstanding at sports and dance, went to university, got a great job at a management consultancy, got married, bought the 3-bedroom house, had a BMW, did all this stuff, right? But I felt consistently disconnected in some way or unhappy in some way, like there was something more and I didn't know what it was, right? So even though I was outwardly very, very successful, I was attractive, you know, I had money, I had a husband, I had a house, I had a car, I wasn't satisfied and there was something missing from my life. My desire stirred me to seek another partner. And in that partner, I experienced a kind of a sexual awakening in terms of experiencing more pleasure than I'd even known was possible. However, there was that, now looking back, you know, I see that even that experience of expanded pleasure and multi-orgasmicness beyond anything I'd ever known was still so limited compared to what then eventually came. So I went through another marriage, I went through a number of relationships, I became a mother, I had 2 children, and then that marriage went haywire because of birth trauma and the difficulty, actually, ironically, to be sexual because it was painful. And we separated, we divorced, and that set me on my questing, right? This is kind of a very quick preamble to then my first experience of, Well, in fact, now looking back, I would say I had that first experience of Shakti energy when I was giving birth, but I didn't realize it. So then in a Tantra workshop, there I was, and this is, something I write about in the book, standing in this Tantra workshop. Nobody's touching me. I'm not naked. I'm not doing anything sexual. But as a result of a very simple process, a very simple practice called Kundalini Shaking, I began to experience the involuntary flowing of Shakti energy through my physical body. Nothing I could do about it. It just happened. It just came into my body and moved my body. And that energy just began to flow through me for a very long time, like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I don't know, quite a long time. My body was moving, my body was shaking, my body was trembling. I was crying, I was laughing, I was whooping, I was raging. It began to clear out all kinds of energies that I had no idea were even there at different levels in my energy field, right? Different levels of consciousness, different chakras, clearing out, clearing out, clearing out, clearing out. The experience was, moved from profoundly ecstatic to just a whole range of different states, but I simply surrendered and allowed it to happen. That was my first experience of connecting with the energy of Shakti, and it had been as simple as doing some Kundalini shaking in a safe, held space. I had no idea that was even possible. No idea what that was. No idea that could happen. Completely no idea that anything like that was even remotely possible. It was nothing to do with a man. It was nothing to do with having sex. It was nothing to do with doing sexual things. It was nothing to do with being naked. But that experience basically changed my life 180 degrees. And I pivoted from, I had been, a successful business person. Then I had been an academic, actually pursuing a PhD in social anthropology. I pivoted completely and my life changed, and I went on to become, who and what I do now, a teacher of sexual awakening for women, a teacher of Tantra for women, a teacher of embodied awakening. In that moment, though, what blew me away and what called me so profoundly was this recognition. When I experienced that, like that energy of Shakti called me so deeply, I had to follow her. I had to follow it. Whatever happened next, I had to follow that thread, and that's what took me on my path. And it showed me what was possible, and that was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. And then so many realms of pleasure and energy magic and spiritual evolution came online as a result of me following that thread of Shakti, which requires me, requires you, requires woman to be fully in her body, fully able to sense and feel, fully present and surrendered. And even though that experience was not what you would typically think of when I talk about Tantra, right? For me, that was one of the most profound, or if not the most profound experience I'd ever had in my life. And then I began to, it gave me a recognition of who and what I truly am. Who and what I truly am. And then I look back at my life before that moment, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea who I was. And that reality was hidden from me. Almost like deliberately, in a way, like the narrative of religion and church and media and culture just so obscures women's power from her, women's knowing of who and what she truly is from her, and reduces her to this idea, as I spoke about in some of my former lives, that we're an object, that we have to look a certain way to be desirable, that we have to dress or shape our bodies, or all these ridiculous notions to be something for someone else. It's all the wrong way round. The power, the radiance, the beauty, the majesty, the magnificence is all within us. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with what we do to the outside of our bodies for somebody to conform to some idea. And all the parts and places of ourselves that we've been taught that are wrong and dirty and bad and shameful and sinful, right? You know, our bodies, our emotions, our sexuality, our genitals, they are the very source of our power, our beauty, our magnificence, our gifts, our awakening, our spiritual awakening, right? So everything's been topsy-turvy. And for you as man to approach a woman and really want the best for her and want to receive the best from her in your relating or in your sexual experience, then this is what you need to understand about her. Even if she doesn't know this, this is who and what she truly is. And she's going to be dissatisfied until she taps into that within herself. She's never going to be content until she recognizes that within herself. Really, truly. She's never going to be fully self-expressed until she recognizes that in herself. She's never going to really enjoy what she can enjoy sexually and spiritually until she recognizes that in herself. And I'm just calling to mind something that one Tantra master said once. And it was very interesting. I was in this live kind of demonstration stroke workshop where he was teaching his particular form of energy healing stroke energy body work, where, you know, there's parts of this that I actually don't agree with right now, but I'll just tell you the story to give you an example of it. So it's possible for you, for anyone, to with agreement, right, and, you know, with understanding, it's possible for you to activate this Kundalini Shakti energy in a woman's body or a man's body, but let's just keep it this way, purely through your presence, purely through your gaze, purely through your voice, or purely through the energy in your hands, without even touching her. Without even touching her. So there are some tantric body workers who specialize in this kind of work of activating and healing a woman's energy field, body, wounds and traumas by hands-off energy work that activates her Kundalini Shakti. And so, you know, I've been present in these sessions, I've experienced these sessions myself without any touch, just hands above the body or at some distance from the body, the Kundalini energy Shakti being activated and moving and flowing. And yes, catharting, yes, releasing, yes, activating orgasms through the whole body or in different areas of the bodies, right? So this is the potential, and certain healers specialize in this kind of work. So this teacher who was speaking and demonstrating this in this particular workshop that I was in, he said there's this huge misunderstanding. So men think, or what most men are doing is they're taking themselves to their woman. So when they come towards a woman, when they want to approach a woman, or when they want to touch a woman, they're bringing their own energy and imposing that to her or upon her. Just going to have a sip of my tea. And he said, what men don't understand, and what would change the whole thing, is if they understood their job isn't to take themselves to her. Their job is to take her to herself. And it completely changes the nature of that dynamic and that interaction. So, what does that mean? It means you don't impose your energy into or upon her. It means you are present to her. You embody love. You embody presence. You embody stillness and integrity. And if you embody that, her energy will stir, without a doubt. Presence stirs Shakti. It's very, very simple equation. So if you are present in your body, if you are clear in your mind, if you are open in your heart, that in itself can activate this energy in her. But I have to say, like, a really, really important caveat, there are some men in the tantric world who know how to do this, and they do this without any respect or regard for boundaries, right? So that kind of interaction needs to be agreed upon with a clear understanding of yes and no and boundary. I've also had the experience of men sending me energy or activating my energy from a distance without my permission. And that is penetrative energy, unwanted. It's rape energy, basically. It has no understanding of boundaries. But I guess my reason for sharing this and the importance of this chapter is that, you know, I remember like one male friend of mine saying, I'm really longing to find a woman, but there are so few women who are really in touch with themselves. And I see his point, you know, but the thing is, if that's what you're longing for as a man, then you assist your woman becoming in touch with herself by you becoming in touch with yourself, right? So if you're in touch with your own Shakti energy, if you're in touch with your own feminine, and if you are also in touch with your capacity for stillness and presence, then those qualities within you will begin to open and activate her potential in that arena too. This can never be something that you force someone to do, that you make someone to do, that you tell someone to do because you'd like them to. But also, I think another thing that's really missing from so much relating and sexuality right now is reverence, is honoring, is devotion. Because when we really understand, whether your partner understands this right now or not, but when you understand that she is the embodiment of Shakti, she is Shakti living. When you understand that truly, then your natural response and impulse is to bow to that, to bow to that, to honor that, to revere that. And you know, when you bring your love and your devotion and your honoring and your integrity and your stillness and your presence, she will bless you. She will pour forth upon you gifts of abundance, of love, of voluptuousness, of pleasure, of joy, of juiciness, multi-orgasmicness, ecstaticness. It's never ending. That's her potential. You can know this within yourself, men, because the tantric path is about inner unification, and we can only meet and be met to the degree to which we have met that within ourselves, right? So a man who's disconnected from his emotions, his body, and his sensuality is not going to find the woman or connect with the woman who is. It's just not going to happen, right? But the tantric path is about that inner unification. It's about you also feeling, sensing, activating, channeling, circulating your Shakti feminine energy within your body, within your own being, and learning to master this energy so that you are fulfilled within yourself, and then you are no longer projecting your sexual desire from the base and objectifying women and making them responsible for your lust and your desire, because you are already fulfilled from within and feeling her within you, making love within you, feeling your desire, but like containing it within your own body, within your own field, activating it for your own vitality, like not just ejaculating all the time, using that energy to stay healthy, to stay vital, to stay alive. Like, honestly, I've got to say something. I'm 57, right? People compliment me on my skin and my youthfulness. Well, I put it down to, yeah, I've got good genes, but also 20 years of practice to work with this energy through the body. And when I look at a lot of men who are my age, I just think, my God, you look so worn out, and it's not attractive. And I know that a lot of that is because you've just been ejaculating your energy away and you're exhausted. It's gone. your life force. So this energy you can activate and you can contain, you can flow within your own body for youthfulness, for more energy, for more mental clarity and focus. This is how you work with your own Shakti, opening your heart to her within yourself. How can you hope to have a great relationship and connection if you're disconnected from your heart, from your body, and from your sensuality? There's so much spirituality which focuses on ascending, going up, transcending, right? The upwards flow to God in the sky. But you know what? It also has to come down all the way back through the body, all the way back through your chakras, all the way back down to earth. And unless you're doing both, you're going to be unbalanced, and there's going to be some dysfunctions and distortions that come out. That's why there's been so much, in my opinion anyway, abuse in spiritual circles. It's not grounded. It's not grounded through the body. It has to be grounded. And, that involves connecting with your feminine, your feelings, your body, your sexuality, your Shakti energy. A man who is connected in this inner way with his own Shakti is so fucking powerful and hot, because he already is radiating that inner union, that deliciousness, that self-orgasmicness, and he's not projecting his energy out onto every woman around him, trying to get something, trying to activate something, trying to make something happen, right? Because there's an emptiness inside him. So women, you are Shakti. I want you to know your power. I want you to know your force, who you truly are. It's forgotten, it's obscured, it's hidden. But I'm part of this remembering and calling us all back to the full embodiment of this power within ourselves. Men have been afraid of this power, but at this time, this is the power that's going to change the world. This is the power that is changing the world. This is what we're all here to embody in balance and in union within. She cannot exist without Shiva. She cannot exist without him. So it's never about her having power over or, being more than. She exists in equal balance and in total unification with Shiva, her divine masculine counterpart, who is the absolute stillness, who is the absolute emptiness, who is the space in which everything is and exists. That's the bliss and that's the rapture that my book is all about. That's the rapture, when they're in ecstatic union. That's what Tantra is, this inner unification in the body. All right, that's the end of my sharing for today. I welcome your questions. I welcome your comments. I welcome your input. And also just want to say, ladies, if any ladies are watching, it's the night tonight for my study group. So I have a monthly study group for Rapture for women only. And tonight's the night, 7 o'clock UK time. And registration closes at 5. I'll put the link below in case you're interested. And I also do a mixed monthly group online. The Tantric Temple is once a month. So it's in 2 weeks' time, the next one. Actually, that might be true. I think it's April the 20th is the next mixed online group where we do tantric practice together as men and women, and we share together and unite in the heart and talk about all these things that come up for us. It's vulnerable and it's powerful and it's beautiful. So I'll put the link for that below as well. And reach out if you've got any questions. And thank you for being here. Lots of love.